left school at 16 and started off his equestrian career by following in his father's footsteps, jumping horses at shows on a regular basis. However, on one particular day he remembers returning from a competition where his horses had accrued a number of faults, and deciding then and there that show jumping was not the life for him. He went back to school and progressed to De Montfort University in Leicester, where he studied design. It was then that racing took a real hold, and he found that in his spare time he was schooling point-to-point horses belonging to his best friend. At the age of 17 he rode Mick the Cutaway in a point-to-point at Barbary Castle. He had 6 race rides in total, but was victorious only once. In 2004, Dan attended Paul Nicholls' Open Day. Paul, who was later to become champion National Hunt trainer, was introduced to him by John Hales of Teletubbies Toys fame, who had some top horses in the racing yard at Ditchit in Somerset, as well as a number of class show jumpers with Nick Skelton, notably the stallion Arco. John is a big name in racing circles, having owned One Man and Neptune Collange. After that memorable Open Day, Dan was able to spend a few weeks in the racing yard, where he was given plenty of odd jobs. He saw how the racehorses were cared for and trained. He became smitten with this way of life, and when a few months later he was offered the vacancy of pupil assistant, he could barely believe his good fortune. He was 19 years old and about to take his place as a team member in one of the most prestigious yards in the country. It was a wonderful opportunity for any aspiring young would-be racehorse trainer. The university years were shelved, and Dan remained with the Nicholls set-up for 9 seasons, which proved invaluable grounding. He became acquainted with every aspect of a trainer's busy life. Not surprisingly, however, as the years passed by, his yearning to train in his own right became stronger and stronger. His dream became a reality when, in 2012, Father Nick was able to buy some extra land, 120 acres, in their home village. After a few months, planning permission was granted for the construction of a training establishment with outbuildings, stables and gallops. Thus, Lodge Hill became the springboard for Dan's massive training operation, and, being a Skelton, ambitious targets were set right from the beginning. Despite starting with only a handful of horses, it soon became apparent that the venture was an assured success. By the end of his first season, there were 37 new boxes in situ, and the number of horses in training had snowballed. Initially there were 12, but in no time at all another 25 had joined the Skelton ranks. The winners started to flow, and new owners were keen to get a foot in the door. There were promises of more horses, and buyers with deeper pockets started to appear. Further expansion was inevitable, and more stables were essential. In only his 3rd season, Dan turned out 104 winners and amassed £750,000 in prize money. He reached 6th place in the British Trainers' Championship. For a newcomer to have established himself in the top league after only 3 years with a licence was a remarkable feat. Yet Dan's ambitions are known to be supremely high, and due to his competitive nature he has set himself even stiffer targets. Unwilling to rest on his laurels, 6th place in April 2016 was not good enough. He remains determined to reach that number 1 slot. By the end of the 2016-17 season, he was in 3rd place on winners. He strives for ever greater success. He is constantly experimenting with new techniques and training aids. It is a wonder that he ever has time to sit down and relax. His brain must be in overdrive even when he is sleeping. The main all-weather gallop at Lodge Hill is unusual, as it is constructed above the ground. No major digging out of soil was required, since the gallop is designed to be used on a level that is higher than the adjacent land. The idea came about when the Skeltons saw the layout of arenas at the 2012 Olympic Games in London. The Andrews Bowen team had constructed them on a block system, approximately 2 metres above the cascading landscape surrounding the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich.